Holly Signorelli, who is a CPA. She's also known as the Money Therapist. You can find her by going to the moneytherapist.com. Really interesting website. She's also the author of Do You Know Where Your Money Is? How Emotions, Habits, and Hidden Addictions Impact Your Debts, Saving, and Spending. And Holly joins us this morning here on the Gary Sutton Show. Holly, an honor to have you with us. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you. How are you today?
I am doing very well. Thank you for asking. I want to deal with the credit card thing first, because I was reading an article the other day by Jessica Dickler at CNBC, and she posed the question, how can college kids dodge credit card pitfalls? And I don't know of any parent who, if their kid has a credit card and they go off to college, isn't worried to death that maybe their kid gets into this spending and, it's kind of the wimpy idea. I'll pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today kind of thing. I think we're trying to get away from that idea and instead get the more responsible idea. What are some of the things that kids can do to dodge the credit card pitfalls and parents can do to help them?
I don't know that it's about them dodging it, because they're part of the problem. And nowadays they're saying the credit card companies can't go to the colleges and give out T-shirts and try to encourage them to get a credit card. But instead, what's really happening that no one's talking about is they're just sending applications to their house or their dorm. And here's the kicker, and think about this just from your own perspective. When you get a credit card form to fill out, they ask you what your income is. They don't check it.
Right.
So if these kids have decent credit, they haven't messed their credit up yet, and they don't have student loans showing up yet on their credit, they're going to qualify, and for something way more than they should get, because they're just making up numbers. They're just saying, yeah, I make X amount of money, and no one's checking it, then they're getting credit cards that they shouldn't get.
It's
I'm guessing they don't know how to cross-reference or don't have the ability at this time to cross-reference, with the IRS.
And yet at the same time, a lot of people would say, as she said in this article with Jessica Dickler, she said, credit cards are still considered the best way to begin a credit history, which is important to young adults just starting out. Good credit paves the way to low interest rates or mortgages and auto loans, and can even make it easier to get an apartment rental. Your thoughts on that?
Well, definitely a car. I was just talking about this the other day. With a car that's affordable, that you can afford the payment, that is a great way to establish credit. I remember doing that in college myself. And also, if you want to get a credit card, get a smaller credit card. Even if they approve you for $5,000, just ask for $1,000. You don't need to have a lot of money available to you to increase your credit. You just have to pay it and pay more than the minimum every month, and that's the problem with the big credit cards.
Well, and the other thing, it seems to me, if you want to be responsible with your kids, get the debit cards, link them to a checking account or the prepaid cards, which, kind of get as a defense against the overdrafts. I mean, that could build good habits, but neither contributes really to a credit history. I guess that's the bad part of it, right?
Yeah, that doesn't help at all in that case. But I am a big fan of the debit cards, because then you can actually see what you're spending. I think a lot of people overspend with the credit cards and also with the debit cards, because they're just not looking at the bank account, and that puts you in denial. And also cash. When cash is being spent, you forget how much you don't even know where it went.
Right.
I mean, nobody knows where their cash goes.
What do you do then to help parents or help students, kids, young adults to deal responsibly with this, at the same time build a credit history, and at the same time, really do it in a responsible way?
I think that happens at a young age. I think really those lessons start to be learned in elementary school and middle school, and having your teenager have a bank account at a young age, because that's when they can afford to make mistakes, instead of not having any understanding of a bank account or credit until they're in their early 20s, and then they're just spending like there's no tomorrow.
One of the things that we're going to hear about tonight, I want to jump to another area, because I have your expertise here, and I'm trying to steal every bit of it I can, right? But tonight we have a big debate. Fox Business Channel is going to have the debate. One would think that most of the questions will be about, taxes, will be about business, will be about small business. You can't trip over a politician somewhere who doesn't talk about small business as the backbone of America. You're a person that deals in small business constantly. And, if people go to your website at themoneytherapist.com, the very first thing they see is the 80% failure rate for new businesses is 100% unacceptable and 99% preventable. So when you hear these candidates trip over themselves tonight talking about the economy and talking about small business, I bet your ears will be focused in on, what would you do for small business?
Yeah, I go crazy with the small business issue because it is so preventable. People get so excited about their idea, about their product, about their service, and they have these big, numbers in their head. I'm going to make $1 million or $1 billion, but they don't actually set the foundation of their company. So just like you have to put the foundation for your home before you build it so it doesn't collapse, you have to set the foundation of your company by setting up the limited liability company to protect yourself and to understand about banking and about payroll. And most of all, you have to know how much to ask for from the bank, because the reason people go out of money is they run out of money. And they run out of money because they don't ask for enough, because their numbers aren't based on reality. And that's why I created that course, because it's so simple to set all that stuff up before you go into business and start selling your product.
Let me ask you this. As you look out on the horizon today, maybe it changes for different small businesses, but as you look at the horizon of our country today, is it a good atmosphere to get started in a small business? And, the one thing you just kind of said a moment ago, a number of things, was that you really have to know the lay of the land. You better make sure you've done your demographic study pretty well here before you set out with a business, as far as location, your money, the customer base you're going to have, the communities you're in, and all that kind of stuff. But is it a good time in America to get small business started? Because I talked to a number of small business people, and they say, man, you can get rolled really easy right now by some of the big conglomerates and some of the Walmart types and so forth out there. And there's not the place for us is starting to kind of fade away. What do you think?
I disagree completely. I think that there is absolutely no security in corporate America anymore. I think that's obvious from all the layoffs. Even with, and again, we don't have to get political here, but even with the insurance situation with Obamacare, a lot of people got laid off because the corporations wanted to recoup some of those expenses. I'm seeing personally a lot more people, they're miserable with their schedules. They want to do something that they love and something they're passionate about. And that, to me, is how you make money, when you combine that passion with a product and you're able to control your own schedule. So a lot of the models that I'm seeing right now are that instead of having employees, people are working with various contractors. And I know in my experience working with these contractors, they're all just very passionate about what they do. They're the cream of the crop.
Tell me about some of the success stories, because I'm always intrigued by people that are successful entrepreneurs or people that are getting started in a small business. And one of the things you mentioned in the beginning was you better like it. You better be passionate about it, because no one's going to be more passionate about it than you. And if you're not passionate about it, or you're just doing it to make money without having any passion to it, it seems like that's a recipe for disaster. So can you give us some examples of people you've worked with and how they were successful and what they did to really kind of get a small business started?
Yeah, the people that I've worked with, where I've watched them go from a small business to multimillionaires, they really, truly love what they do. They don't think of it as work. If they have to get up early or they have to stay late or whatever they have to do, they're going to do it. They're excited about their product or their service, especially service-oriented people that I've worked with. It's like whether they're a surgeon or they do massages or whatever their income level is at. They love what they do, and they love what it does for their customers. They love how they make their customer feel or look or, again, whatever the product is. So they take the time in the beginning to really go over their demographic, like who is my client, how much can I really charge? And then the better that they get and the more passionate they are, usually you can charge more money because your clients are going to pay it.
What are the things that successful small business people do, and what are the pitfalls that they manage to sidestep?
Well, people are afraid of money in general. Even the wealthiest of people are afraid of money. It's got such a bad name here. People don't want to talk about it. So
let me ask you a question. When you say afraid of money, are they afraid of being called wealthy? Are they afraid of accumulating a lot of it? That's an interesting statement.
Yes, this is why I wrote my book, because I saw that people of all income levels were doing the same thing. And the more money that people make, the more they're afraid someone's going to take it away from them. So people have these self-sabotaging mechanisms put in place to keep them from getting to a certain level of wealth.
So in essence, they fear success. They fear success.
Yes, and they don't know it. It's very subliminal, so that they might nickel and dime themselves to death. I've seen people unable to make a note payment because they spent $5 and $10, several times a day, and it added up, and they don't look at the numbers. They don't want to see the reality. So to answer your previous question, people that are successful take the time to look over the numbers, to understand what a financial statement is. And it might be the boring part of owning a business, but it's a completely necessary part if you want to take control of your finances and you want to be successful, and especially if you don't want to pay more taxes than you should, because that puts people out of business too.
Conversely, those who fail, that 80% failure rate that you talk about on the website, those people obviously are not paying attention to the little details here that you're talking about right now. What would be some other things that they don't pay attention to that they should be paying attention to?
Most people that come into my office and it's too late is because they come to me 6 or 9 months later and they never set up a limited liability company. I think most people know what an LLC or limited liability company is, but it is to protect you and also to save taxes for small businesses. So there are a few laws still in place to protect small businesses from taxes. So they end up paying a lot more tax than they thought they would. And if you don't incorporate, for example, you could end up paying 35% tax because of the Social Security tax. So somebody who maybe made $50,000 the first year, they're paying $15,000 in taxes, and they don't have it. So they kind of wave the white flag. They're like, wait, I'm just going to go back to being W-2.
The name of your book is Do You Know Where Your Money Is? And that's a great title, but I'm more interested in the subtitle of it, how emotions, habits, and hidden addictions impact your debts, saving, and spending. Talk about the emotions, the habits, and the hidden addictions here that you're alluding to.
One of my favorite ones that relates to small business is some people have money in the bank and they don't want to have a loan because they have some type of stigma with the loan. But if you do your budget properly and you get the right amount of money from the bank, then you can easily pay that loan back over maybe a 10-year period of time if it's a small business loan with the profits of your business, and then you're not going to be stressed. But then sometimes people will kind of argue with me about that. No, I've got this money, I don't want to have a loan. But I always tell them that it happens every single time. When you see your life savings dwindling away, whether you know it or not, it's like a black cloud over your head, and you're thinking about it and you're worrying about it, and you cannot be creative in a stress-filled environment. So if you're stressed about money and your dwindling bank accounts, you're not going to use your creativity and your passion to take care of your clients and for your products.
Wow.
And that's what happens. They just kind of fizzle out, and I have seen so many people at high income levels really lose that passion and creativity because of that.
When we come back, I want to ask you about what the right amount of money is when you're asking for money from the bank or a lending institution, and more about this idea of the small business in America. I'm sure you're going to hear about it tonight on the debates. Holly Signorelli taking you inside it this morning here. She is the author of Do You Know Where Your Money Is? How emotions, habits, and hidden addictions impact your debts, saving, and spending. You can also find her at themoneytherapist.com. She'll be right back with us here on The Gary Sutton Show on WSBA. Welcome back to The Gary Sutton Show with Holly Signorelli this morning, the Money Therapist. Check her out at themoneytherapist.com or read the book, Do You Know Where Your Money Is? How emotions, habits, and hidden addictions impact your debt, saving, and spending. And with the debate tonight focusing allegedly on economics and your money and tax plans and small business being the backbone of America, I can't think of a better guest this morning. Holly, you keep mentioning the right amount of money from the bank. How do you determine that? Obviously there's some common sense there, but how do you determine that overall?
Well, I've just talked generally speaking, obviously, because everybody's budget's different. But if you were to sit down and come up with a budget of how much money you think you can make, then you should cut that in half. That's number one. And then number two, you should take all of your expenses and double them, because you're always going to, people forget numbers. I'm telling you, it's ridiculous. They have this idea that this is how much I'm going to be paying every month, and they're just not being realistic because, and of course you're excited about your product and, oh, I'm going to make this much money, and I'm not saying that you can't, but the first 6 months is when people go out of business because they run out of money. So just cut it in half because you know you're going to have to do marketing, increase your expenses because you're going to have surprises, and assume as much as 6 to 12 months that you're not going to make any profit at all. And
well,
yes, that's an extreme, but that's your loan right there.
I love what you're saying. I tell you, I've been a coach. This is my 40th year coaching, and I've coached basketball. And one of the things that I wrote down when I took my first coaching job years ago was not winning. Winning was down at the number 8 or 9 spot. It was teaching fundamentals individually. It was teaching team fundamentals. It was building team attitude. It was all these different things. And I said, if I do all that correctly, then winning will come as a natural byproduct. It sounds like you're describing kind of the same thing here in different words.
Yes, exactly, because if you're smart with your money, if you have enough money and you're not stressed about money, then again, you're going to focus on your passion and your product, and that's where you make a profit.
So at the end of the day here, when you hear them all kind of babbling tonight, and the Democrats will babble as well, just like the Republicans, about small business is the backbone of America. You're seeing a great movement right now out there with the Uber-type businesses. I was talking to a guy the other week that was talking exactly what you were saying here a moment ago. He said, I lost my job at Harley Davidson, and I started this business where I'm making models. And then I'm learning how to network. But he said, I'm being very, very careful with my money in doing this. I'm not trying to run before I can walk, and I'm trying to pay attention to the details right now. And it sounds like that's exactly the advice you're giving here.
Yes, I'm seeing that more and more. People want to be happy. They don't want to be part of corporate America. A lot of people are bailing out on that, and you don't have security there. You have much more security if you take your hands, and take it the bull by the horns, like they say, of your own business and do something that you truly love. And some businesses are going to make more money than others, but you're going to be happy, and it really isn't just about money.
No, it's not, and I think that's the point you come back to. I was just reading a piece today that 1/4 of employees would quit for a 10% raise right now, according to Tiny Pulse. It's an annual employee engagement report. But it was talking about employees are talking more and more, especially the millennial generation, about switching jobs a lot quicker. It's not just I'm going to be miserable for 40 years and walk out of there and retire, because that whole, I guess that whole kind of paradigm has changed a little bit, hasn't it?
Oh, it's absolutely changed. I mean, so many people give millennials a bad rap, but people need to understand that the system is breaking down. It's not working anymore. And these millennials, they may be, creating kind of an uproar, but think about anything that's ever changed in history. It always starts with a fight, because unfortunately people don't listen until you start screaming about it. And so these millennials, they will not come in at 8 o'clock in the morning. The corporations are having to change their model.
Yep.
Work around it, and I think that's a good thing, because if you give people a flexible schedule like I do at my office, they want to be there. They want to perform. They want to make me happy because they have an enjoyable workplace.
And again,
they don't have to be in traffic for 2 hours a day.
And again,
nobody wants to do that.
If you create that kind of atmosphere, again, we get back to that free enterprise system that creates competition, which lowers prices and raises quality in the long run, and raises the quality of service as well.
And I think we're all agreed that the quality has gone greatly down over the last few decades.
Well, it's time to raise it up. I like your message, and people can find you at themoneytherapist.com. They can read your book, Do You Know Where Your Money Is? How Emotions, Habits, and Hidden Addictions Impact Your Debts, Saving, and Spending. Holly, people can get that, I'm assuming, at all the normal culprits, the Amazon.coms, and where else?
Yeah, Amazon, and also on the website. And
go to the website, The Money Therapist. You can find it right there. Really great talking to you this morning. I'm sure you'll be glued to the debate tonight and shaking your head or throwing the pillow or maybe even smiling every now and then, right?
That's right.
Holly, thanks so much. Take care now.
You bet. Have a good one.
Take care. Holly Signorelli with us here on the Gary Sutton Show. When we come back, it's your turn to make the call here on WSBA.